In 1996, your father was in Tokyo touring and he fell ill and ended up dying from pneumonia. Do you
Yeah,
remember where you were when you got the news and what was that time like for you?
I remember it vividly. This was when I lived with my son's mother uh, in Hollywood, and I was walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and I don't play around with this story much, so you're the first to ever hear it. I was walking down Hollywood Boulevard. I used to live a block up Highland, and I'm walking back to my house, and a fortune teller ran out of her space and says, something bad is about to happen to you. Something bad. You're walking around with a lot of black and this and that. And I looked at her and I kept walking. And I get home, and my brother Mark called me at my home, and he goes, Burn. And I'm like, what's up, man? And he goes, hold on. And he clicks the line, and then he clicks back and he goes, I'm sorry, man. I think dad is dead. Dad just died. And I I don't even know what happened after that. I think it was a bunch of drinking. But unfortunately, me and my father, prior to him passing away, we only had one conversation. And that was we were trying to mend our relationship because me and him really had a tumultuous relationship because I went after my dreams of music and he really didn't want me to do it. So we had one conversation. We were supposed to talk when he got back to the States and get back together and get things right. And next thing I know, he was dead.
I'm sorry for your loss, man. I'm sure
Appreciate it.
that he was like your greatest musical influence, right?
1,000%.
I know that like early on, like your first biggest check was because you programmed the drums on one of his records, right?
Yes.
And how did you guys bond over music?
I wish there was a bond. It was a supply and demand uh,
Mm,
situation. He needed to lock in these drums that Tony laid for. It was a song called. Well, they did a rendition of "Let's Get It On," the group Power Station, and my father wasn't really happy with the complete drum track, and he wanted me to grab spots that worked and then program it. So it still was live. It was still Tony Thompson, but it was more locked into pocket. And that's all I really did. And my father, he was like very stern, and he was tired of me kind of falling on my face and then going to him with my hand out like that. I need help. I need help. I need help. He said, it's time for you to help yourself. I have this job. If you can do it, there is a pay for it. Like there's money in it. And we showed up. At the time, I was running around with this cat out here, and he had a SP12, and we went over there and we sampled the drums, and that was my first check. That was the first money I ever made to get my own apartment and you know get things going.
so he taught you a really hard lesson early on in that by helping you find your way. You know, it's interesting when you say that you guys had a tumultuous relationship because I know that you had mentioned in the past, like you were trying to run towards the industry and he was pulling you back because he knew the ins and outs of it. And about 14 years ago, you uploaded this clip onto YouTube of your dad talking about you working in the basement as a kid, working on rap music. And he
Right.
said he would never discourage you, but he didn't want to encourage you to go into the music industry either. And he would prefer that you didn't because he knew
Yes.
what you were going to experience by doing that.
Yes. Yes.
And it's he was right in the sense that it foreshadowed that you were going to experience some difficult times because you did throughout your
Yeah.
career, right?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what people my age call paying dues. It,
Now, I know you were also like searching for your father's approval. Like you felt like if he said you did a good job on your music, that's like kind of like what you always wanted, right?
1000%.
Did you ever get to receive that from him?
No, no. I think I've mentioned this a couple of times in some previous interviews that literally I'm still chasing that dragon. Um, I know I'm not going to get it, because it was a way that I wanted it. I wanted my father to be super proud. You know, after the Grammys, after locking in with one of the greatest to ever do it, Dr. Dre, and having the run that I had, and I did it with a name that, I wasn't just an industry brat. I wasn't walking into places and saying Bernard Edwards Jr. I was saying focus, and to show him that I was able to establish myself and really become a formidable producer and musician and composer. Um, I just wanted my dad to if he would have just looked at me and been like, that would have been enough. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he didn't even have to give me the words. That would have been everything to me. And I think the best thing that did happen prior to my father passing, I had my first son, his first grandchild, and I got to get him a picture of his grandson. And the singer of the group, Silva Logan Sharp, at the time when she was on tour with them, she said my father was parading around showing his first son, his grandson, Christopher. And she said he kept the picture in his breast pocket in his jacket. And that meant everything to me. That was a good salve for this open wound, you know?
Right. I think everyone can agree that with everything that you've contributed to music, that he's definitely looking down on you and really proud of you, man.
I appreciate that. I really do. I do.
Did you ever get over like that? You said the lady ran out and told you something was going to happen. Like, I'm sure at that moment you were like, okay, you're crazy or something like that, like, but
Yeah, of
like
course.
when it
Yeah.
really happened, you like, I'm pretty sure that's something that you might think about from time to time, like, what the hell, right?
Well, like I said, it's just forever etched in my mind. There's never going to be a moment where I don't remember that.
Right.
Um, I think that I don't pull it up unless I have to speak about the actual incident, or talk about my father's death. Because right after that, I tried to numb myself the best I could. It was a lot of drinking and a lot of stupidity, just trying to cope. And I didn't do well. You know what I'm saying? I didn't cope with that well. And, then my mother died in 2001. So no matter what, it really was, um, just a season. I can't even call it a season of loss, but it was just a lot of loss. My grandparents, and it was just a lot of loss in my family. So, um, I don't know if I really just keep that in the forefront of my mind, but it definitely is. Anytime we talk about, if anybody asks me about that, that's the first thing that comes up. Yeah, you're right. It's like an anchor of it. Yeah.